Hello and welcome to Study Khazana. Myself Aarti, today's lecturer. So today we are going to discuss about the tenses. Tenses in English. Something that is one of the most easiest topics. Still, most of the students are the ones who remain confused. Okay, so to start with, tenses in English language exist in three forms according to their chronology. So the first one is simple present, simple past and simple future. Now present is right now where we are, and past is what has happened yesterday, day before yesterday or earlier, and future is something that will happen. Okay, so now to start with, let's take present tense. The present tense can be subdivided into three categories. The first one is present continuous. The second one is present perfect, and the third one is present perfect continuous. So let's start with example. So at first I will take simple present and present continuous, their difference and their roles, like they are used differently and they are similar yet they are different from each other. Okay, so let me give you an example. Simple present and present continuous. Now if I say I do my work, and if I say I am doing my work, so can you notice the difference? Like in the first sentence, when I say I do my work, what does it mean? It denotes a simple action that I normally do. In the first sentence, using the simple present one, I am not denoting any particular timeline. That's why it comes under the simple present tense, something that I normally do or something that a subject normally does. But in the second sentence, the one which is in present continuous, where I have used I am doing my work. So you can see I have used the main verb in ing form. It means that right now I am doing my work. Okay, so the first sentence denotes an action that I normally do, and the second sentence tells you that right now what I am doing. That is the main difference between the simple and the continuous form. The moment we add ing to the main verb, it changes into a continuous action. Okay. Now, there is a small rule in simple present. In simple present, we have only one verb, that is the main verb. In simple present, we use the verb agreement. I will explain that. On the contrary, present continuous comprises of two verbs. One is the helping verb. The grammatical term for helping verb is auxiliary. So if you see auxiliary, so don't get confused. Auxiliaries and helping verbs means the same. Auxiliary is the grammatical term and helping verb is the easy term. Plus the main verb comes in the ing form. That is the main difference. Now coming back to simple present tense. Now if the subjects, I think all of you know the main subjects. It's I, you, he, she or it. means the third person, like the one who is speaking. Like if I am speaking, I am the first person. If I am speaking to you, you are the second person, and besides us, everyone else who is there comes under the category of third person. Same thing, if you are talking to me, you are the first person. If you are talking to me, I am the second person, and except you and me, everyone else comes under the category of third person. Hope this is clear. Now if I am using I or you, so I can simply use the verb in its normal form, like I eat, you eat, or I do, you do, I write, you write, and so on. But if we are using the third person singular form, he, she, it, or any other name like Ram, Sham, Sita, Gita, any name, so we have to use the subject verb agreement, something, a grammatical rule that exists only in simple present tense. So when we are using it with third person singular, the verb will change into eats. We will never say that he eat. We always say he eats or she eats. Same happens with do. Do becomes does. Write become writes. And for every verb, this rule is applicable only in simple present tense. Now coming back to present continuous tense, as earlier I told you that present continuous tense is made up of two verbs. The first one is the auxiliary, the second one is the main verb. So I will take the same verbs and the same subjects. So if I use the sentence eat, for example, so the helping verb for I is am. So I will say I am eating. Fine. Then for second person it will be you are eating, and for third person it will be he, she, or any third person is eating. And if we are talking about plural like they or we, there also we use are as the helping verb. Now here 2 points you need to be very careful about. In simple present, we never use two verbs. There is no auxiliary in simple form. Okay. And in the continuous form, there are two verbs. The first one is the helping verb and the second one is the ing form. If you say I am eat, that is also incorrect. You can either say I am eating or you can say I eat. But I am eat is completely grammatically wrong. Okay. Now coming to the next topic, the perfect tense. Before telling you the perfect tense, let me tell you that I think all of you know that verbs exist in three forms. Like there are three tenses, but there are three forms like V1, V2 and V3. The first one we call it the present tense. The second one we call the past tense, and the third one we call the participles. Now their rules. Present tense we use when we are telling any sentence in present form. Okay. And past tense I will explain you. Past tense means something that has happened. And participles are the third form of the verb that is normally used in the perfect tense and in passive voice. So passive voice we will discuss later on. Right now we should focus on the perfect form. So for example, if I take the verb do, for example, so the present tense of do is do. In past tense it becomes did, and in participle form it is done. Okay. So do, the present form, the V1 form we will use in the simple present tense. Then the did form, the second form, the V2 form we use in simple past, and the participles we are going to use it in the perfect tense. Now let me give you an example using the same verb in three different sentences. For example, let me take she. She does her work regularly. Now this is something she normally does. Today, yesterday, tomorrow, it's not precisely we are talking about today. This is something she normally does. It's her habit. So now this is the simple present. Now if I change it into continuous form, she is doing her work. This denotes an action which she is doing right now because the ing form is there and the auxiliary is there. Now if I say perfect tense, and particularly we are talking about present perfect, so I will say she has done her work. Now coming to the formation of a perfect tense, here also we have used an auxiliary. So perfect tense denotes a time, the present perfect, for an action that has just finished. It's not past tense because had it happened yesterday or before that, we should switch to past tense. But present perfect denotes those actions that has been just finished. थोड़ी देर पहले ही खत्म हुआ है. So if I say she has done her work, it means today, by today itself she has completed her work, but right now she is not doing, she has already completed. Now in perfect form we have two helping verbs, has or have, depending on the subject, plus the third form of the verb, the participles that I have just told you. Now the uses of has and have. So has is only used with third person singular. Third person I have just discussed with you who we consider the third person. Okay. Now let me give you one more example of present perfect. If I say I have finished my lesson, it means I was preparing or I was reading my lesson, I was learning my lesson, but now I have finished that learning part. And same with if I am using you, for you also it will be the same. You have finished. Now here my will change into your. This is something I know all of you are sure about. Like if we are changing the subject, the adjective possessive should also change. You cannot say you have finished my lesson. Grammatically it might sound correct, but it is not correct. Okay, so when the subject is you, you are supposed to change the adjective also. Now when we come to the third person, let's take a name this time, Ram. Now have will change into has here. Why? Just now I told you has we use for third person singular. Now Ram is neither myself nor you, so Ram has finished. Now here the adjective possessive should change into his, because if we replace Ram with a pronoun, we will use he, isn't it? We cannot say Ram has finished your work or Ram has finished my work. Possible, but logically it should be Ram has finished his lesson, not work. I hope this perfect part is clear. Now let's continue, and the next one is present perfect continuous. This is something that we normally use, but it is not more popular. Now present perfect continuous tense is used to denote those actions that has started in the past but which is still continuing. For example, if I say it has been raining, it has been raining since last night. Now see the sentence. Here I am saying that it has been raining. The verb is in ing form, which means the action of raining is still going on. Okay, so it means this raining is still happening. But when did it start? It started last night. So present perfect continuous are those actions which has started in the past but they are still going on, unlike the perfect one, because in the perfect one the action we have just finished. That is the main difference between present perfect and present perfect continuous. Let me give you one more example. I have been studying since morning. And if you say I have studied in morning. Now if you see closely these two sentences, the first one says I have been studying and the second one says I have studied. Both are in perfect form, but the first one is the perfect continuous. It means that the process of studying from my side started in the morning and the action is still going on as I am still studying. And just see the second one, it says I have studied in morning. It means I have studied today itself, because had it been yesterday I have used I studied yesterday, but now we are talking about today. So the difference, the perfect continuous denotes those actions that has started in the past but which are still going on, and present perfect denotes those actions which we have finished today itself. Okay, now let's summarize the present form. Present tense simply refers to something that is happening, but here also we have four parts. To start with, we did simple present, then it's present continuous, then we have present perfect, and finally we have present perfect continuous. And let me tell you, like for all the tenses we have these four forms. Like if we study the past tense, there also we have simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous. And if we consider the future form, we have future simple, future continuous, future perfect continuous. So don't get confused, like there are three tenses, past, present and future, and all the tenses are subdivided into four categories. Because if I say use in present tense, but we need to tell, because in present tense also we have four different categories. So now just a quick revision. Let us take any new verb. For example, I write a letter. So which tense is this? There is only one verb, the main verb. So it comes under the category of simple present. Like writing a letter is something that I normally do. You write a letter, same. Now there was a point that I told you, the verb agreement. Now when it comes to the third person, we will use he, this additional s. He writes or she writes a letter, and it goes on with all the other subjects. Now this is the simple present. Now if I say continuous form, I'll say I am writing, an action that shows the continuity. So now you can ask me a question like, what is the difference between present continuous and present perfect continuous? So the clear difference this present continuous refers to an action which right now I am doing, and perfect continuous denotes those actions that were started in the past but they are still going on, and present continuous are simply those actions which we are doing right now. It didn't start in the past. Okay, so now the perfect form will be I have written a letter. Now except the first simple present, you can see we have used these auxiliaries. In the present continuous form we have used am. Auxiliaries, I hope you remember, the helping verbs without which we cannot frame the continuous form. Okay, and in the perfect one we have used have, and the main verb comes in the third form, V1, V2 and V3. V1 stands for present tense, V2 stands for past tense, and this is the third form of write, that is written. Okay, so the first form is write, wrote and written. So right now I am focusing on present tense only, that's why I am discussing this present form only. And if I say the same sentence in present perfect continuous form, I'll say I have been writing a letter. Means the action of writing a letter started. I don't want to disclose when did I start, but this is something that I have started and I am still writing. Not like the present continuous one which says that I am writing a letter. Okay, so I hope this much is clear for you. So in case you have any doubts, just go through the notes once again. Let's summarize what we have discussed today. The tenses, the main tenses are past tense, present tense, and future tense. Okay, this is the first rule for learning the tenses. You should remember that all the verbs are divided into three categories. Anywhere, like if you are reading a newspaper, you are reading any fiction novel, any course book, anything you are reading, everywhere you can find the different forms of tenses. To begin with, this is the first step to learn a tense. Like tenses are of three categories. Okay, and we can subdivide all these forms further into four categories. The first one we call simple or indefinite. Indefinite, why? Because we use this simple tense to denote those actions that we normally do. It is not something that once I did and then I stopped. The normal random action or some facts like the sun rises in the east. It is something that used to happen every day, so we use the indefinite form. Okay. The second one is the continuous form. The third one is perfect, and the last one is perfect continuous. Okay, so these four categories are found in all the tenses. Now coming to the verbs, because tenses are used in verbs only. Verbs can be classified into three forms: verb 1, or we call it V1, verb 2, V2. Because this, if you search in any grammar book or in any other sites, different teachers use different words for these verbs. So some call them V1, V2, V3. Some call them present, three forms of verb like present, past and participles. So you should know all the names, all the synonyms for this. Okay. Now V1 denotes the present form, V2 denotes the past form, and V3s are the participles that we use for the perfect tense. Okay. Now to sum up, we have learned the three names, the three basic tenses, okay, and we have just done with the present form, okay. So you need to practice some sentences and just try to fluctuate between the tenses, like make a sentence using the simple or the indefinite form and change the same sentence, transform it into the perfect form and the continuous form, and we will continue with the past tense in the next session. Okay, thank you so much.